Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the TackleTime podcast. I'm your host. My name is Nate. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about one particular piece of gear as opposed to one lure or something like that. We're talking about one rod and reel combo, the Abu Garcia Black Max. So I've been seeing these out there in the market for a long time. See them on sale once in a while. Generally regarded as a pretty good setup for the money. So somewhere in the around $100 range. If they're on sale, they're normally around $80 or so. Um, so all in all, pretty good rods. There's a lot of them out there. People really like them. We're gonna be talking about that as a rod to get into fishing with and keep fishing with because it's so durable and actually is a good product. Speaking of when products go on sale, have you checked out tacklebuys.com? At tacklebuys.com, we compile thousands and thousands and thousands of sale listings from across the web. So fish finders, trolling motors, kayaks, rods and reel combos like the one we're going to talk about today, all kinds of stuff. Everything that you would need to get out there and go fishing and actually get a fish on the line. So anything you're actually going to get, check out tacklebuys.com first. If you guys aren't following us on social media, you better check us out. Every day we post curated products that we find on the site. So I just saw a fish finder this morning for, instead of $1,000, it was $600. So stuff like that, rod and reel cases. I know was one we were just talking, we were going to put on our Facebook and Instagram. So if you're not following us on social media, you're missing out because we're putting some of the best deals we find right on there. So you don't have to go hunt for them yourself. But we're going to get into this episode.
Guys, we got Jay tonight on with us. He's hiding in his basement. We were worried if the lighting was any good. I told him, don't even worry about it. I said, you are so good looking. It wouldn't matter if people saw you anyway.
Yeah, I suck like this.
No, Jay, thank you for coming on and being part of the podcast. Say hello, introduce yourself, all that good stuff.
Yeah, thanks, Nate. Like you said, Jay Ball, and just really, really appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk to you. Talk fishing. I love to fish and love the outdoors. So to talk to a fellow fisherman, fellow angler who's probably as obsessed with it as I am, I'm really excited. So definitely appreciate
Absolutely.
the opportunity.
For sure. So we found each other on Instagram. For people who obviously don't know you, tell them, if they find you on Instagram, what they can expect to find from you and what what the kind of content you're posting out there is.
Yeah, so I really got introduced to Instagram and social media because a couple of my friends were on it, and I'm very passionate about making maple syrup. And I started my own maple syrup operation, and it just so happened to be that I was very passionate about fishing. So what I was trying to do is kind of blend the two, because there's a lot of good fishermen out there. And so what I'm doing is I'm giving everybody a deep inside look at how I actually make maple syrup, and then also not during maple syrup season, because maple syrup season is only from, let's say, February to April.
Yeah.
Then I take a deep dive into bass fishing. I do a lot of salmon, steelhead.
Okay.
Do a lot of walleye fishing. So it's really, people learn with me. I always credit people on social media that have taught me stuff. I always try to give back, and I'm still learning. I really have no clue what I'm doing, but social media is a great place to learn stuff, for sure.
You sound just like me, and it's interesting that you've tried making syrup before, because I've done it one full season, and it actually came out. It was an awesome run, and I didn't maintain my equipment well enough, so we ended up pitching it because it was all nasty the second year. But it was definitely a cool experience. I mean, so this does not have anything to do with fishing at all. But anybody who wants a cool hobby in the wintertime when it's when it's too cold to go fishing, try tapping some maple trees. I mean, you can't go wrong. I don't really know that you can do it wrong, to be honest with you. I mean, especially if you're just having fun with it.
Yeah, and what I'm going to do actually is I'm documenting my entire process from start to finish. And there's a lot of good maple syrup producers out there. But what I found is that for the smaller people that are getting into it, or the hobbyists, there's not a lot of good information. I mean, there's information out there, but as far as tips and tricks and where to start, how do you identify sugar maples? How do you boil? How do you filter? I want to show everybody that. So I've already started a whole YouTube series from last season. I didn't know what I was doing. Still don't know what I'm doing. But this year, you'll be able to basically watch me buy my equipment, tap the trees, boil the syrup, and bottle it.
Awesome. No, that's
and
cool.
I do actually sell it. So I've got a bunch. So here's my bottle. I got my own label now. So
that's awesome, man. Good for you.
it does. There's no money in it, but I just do it because I love it.
Well, hey, if you're having fun, it's a hobby and something you like, and you make a few bucks, whatever. That's cool.
Yeah.
No,
I get to play with fire.
So talk to us about fishing. I mean, what was the synthesis that made you combine a maple syrup hobby and fishing all in one to create it all together?
Well, I guess there's a lot of competition out there nowadays. You've got a lot of good YouTubers, a lot of good professionals. I'm late to the game. I was really anti-social media for a long time.
Sure.
But I like to give back. I've been very fortunate, very blessed to have a lot of experiences. Not only with maple syrup, I had a really good teacher on how to do that, but I've got a lot of experience with fishing. I mean, I grew up in Michigan fishing for salmon, steelhead, bluegills, bass. And then I moved to Virginia, got into saltwater fishing. So I did a lot of tuna fishing, blue marlin, sailfish, tarpon, red drum, catching giant bull sharks. I've been down to Costa Rica, Izumi Harris.
Wow.
So I've been very fortunate, very blessed. So I feel that it's my duty to give back to the industry and to the younger generations and say, hey, you guys can do this. I mean, and one thing I want to try to do is try to make it as simple as possible, whether you're getting into maple syrup or you wanted to get into fishing, because like you and I have talked about, it just can be overwhelming. You go to a tackle shop and you look at the wall and it's like, which one of these 100 different color worms do I buy?
Exactly. What's the difference between A and B? But with this company, they have the same colors as that company, and it's tough. I remember when I didn't start fishing all that long ago. I can remember, I walked into the store. I think it might have been Bass Pro or Cabela's, and I walk in.
Yeah.
I'm like awestruck. I'm like, dude, what do I even do here? I mean, yeah. Anyway, it's just wild. So that's what I think. Somebody who can kind of start from the ground level and try and build from there is in a good position, or a better position, I should say, than somebody off the street.
It's intimidating. It really is.
It is.
Because I just started bass fishing 4 years ago. I mean, if you would have told me 5 years ago, Jay, you'd have 18 different bait casters, you'd have a Z21 Nitro bass boat with all the electronics and all this tackle, I'd have called you a liar. But my neighbor, actually, who is a guy that I work with, father-in-law, he was a big bass fisherman.
Oh yeah.
So I get on his boat the first day and I got a spinning rod and he's like, you don't have any bait casters? No. I don't like bait casters. I don't like to cast them.
You learned then.
Oh yeah. So 18 rods later, well, actually, yeah, they got 26 in the boat, but 18 more bait casters.
Dang, you got quite the setup, man. That's quite a lot of rods.
Yeah. Well, YouTube costs you money. That's every time I watch YouTube. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yeah, no, it's like pull on the dollars coming out of your wallet. That's for sure.
Oh man.
It's nice if anybody's listening in. If you want to keep your cost low, just fish out of a kayak. You can only take so much gear with you.
Yes.
I think my I only take like 4 rods with me and a small tackle box full of stuff. It's just like, hey, I'm limited. What the limitations can make some creativity. You can try some new stuff. You can you can have some fun with it. It's not all about having all the gear. It's about having a good time and enjoying the sport and learning a little and being challenged. I think that's part of it. So
I think for me, the challenge actually now is to keep it simple. Go back to the basics. Like I mentioned, keep it stupid simple. I've got all these, giant swim baits. I've got all these different chatter baits and crankbaits and lipless lures and soft plastics and Texas and tube and drop shot. And it's just like, I find myself trying to throw everything, but not giving that one technique enough time to build up confidence.
Sure.
So that's what I've tried to do this year is go back to the basics. Is I don't need to buy any more, I got tons of crankbaits, tons of lures, and it's like, let me use what I got.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's cheaper that way, but you can build your chops on them for sure.
Oh man. And like I said, you start watching YouTube and there's a lot of great content out there. And it's just like, break out the wallet,
Yeah,
but,
exactly. Yeah.
But there are a few things, that I've learned along the way. And hopefully what I can help teach people is that learn from my mistakes. As far as some of the stuff I've used and different rods and reels and lines. And like I mentioned, the Black Max combo that I'm going to talk about today, I still have the original 2 that I used 5 years ago.
Gotcha.
And I still use them to this day. And they probably hands down have caught more fish than all my other rods combined.
Wow. That's awesome.
So,
no, we're going to dive into that for sure. So I'm assuming at this point in your fishing journey, you were mostly going after bass. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting dynamic because I am technically a sponsored tournament walleye fisherman as
Oh,
well.
really? Okay.
So my best friend, he actually got me introduced to one of my main sponsors, which is Lure Lipstick, and they're really big into walleye fishing.
Gotcha.
And my fishing partner, his girlfriend is my wife's best friend,
Hmm.
and I just love to fish, and I'll fish with them all the time. So we've won a couple tournaments, got sponsored. So I actually fished the MWT Michigan Walleye Tournament Trail in the summertime. But then I wanted my own boat, and I got an opportunity to buy a bass boat from a guy that I work with. So during the week, I pretty much bass fish 4 days a week, and then the
Wow.
weekends we walleye fish and we tournament walleye fish. About, I think there's 5 tournaments we fish a year.
Wow. Okay.
That tournament trail. I've been asked about tournament bass fishing, and I'm not comfortable enough yet. That's a whole different level. I mean, those guys are very, very competitive.
Oh,
Even the
absolutely.
local tournaments.
Yeah.
We've got a couple bass guys on our Lure Lipstick Pro staff, and they're just sticks, man. I mean, these guys are good.
Yeah, no, there's a lot to it, and a lot of them are they've been at it a long time. I mean, a lifetime of practice, and it's just no. You're totally right. That's awesome. I didn't realize that you were so far in the walleye community. That's awesome to see. So I don't think we've talked to too many anglers who specifically target walleye and actually go after them. So that's awesome.
It's kind of nice because my partner is a guy that loves to troll, and there's times where you got to cast for him or jig for him. I'm a caster. I'm a jigger. Like I want to be the one coaxing the fish into biting, just like bass fishing. So it's actually a really good balance.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think that's what kind of makes us unique is he's got the trolling down, and then I've got the casting. I mean, down as much as you can. You never have them figured out. We pre-fished the last tournament for 6 days in a row.
Wow.
And we never caught a single walleye for 6 days.
Oh my goodness. I think I'd have given up before you even went.
I did catch a 43-inch flathead catfish though, jigging. So that was
you got something. You just weren't
that was
what you wanted.
If there was a trash fish category, we would have won it.
Wow.
But what's funny too is I grew up steelhead fishing, trolling for steelhead in some of the lakes or some of the rivers here in Michigan. And this year I actually took my nitro bass boat and set up so I could troll for steelhead.
Oh, okay.
And that is just, it is such a rush. There's no freshwater fish. I mean, I've caught a lot of smallmouth bass, a lot of largemouth bass, but there's no other harder fighting fish, in my opinion, than a steelhead in the fall, catching them trolling. They're just unreal.
Wow. Okay.
So I try to diversify. I try to change it up. Like you said, challenge yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try to catch a state record flathead catfish this year. I caught one that was that 43-incher that was close to probably 40 pounds.
Wow.
State record's like 50 some inches. So I'm going to actually try to catch a state record this year.
You were close. That's cool. That's awesome.
12-pound line. Actually, the same line I use for my bait casters.
Wow, really?
I was jigging for walleye. Yeah.
Damn. I can't believe you kept them on with that. That's wild. That is wild.
Full videos on YouTube. So
that's cool. That's one worth checking out. So anybody listening, that's a video worth watching. Cool, man. No, that's awesome. Well, let's dive into the gear of choice tonight, which is the Abu Garcia, the Black Max combo. I mean, give us a rundown on it. Why did you pick this one particular combo?
Well, I've always heard of Abu Garcia. I mean, I haven't been, like I said, bass fishing that long, but just growing up in a fishing family, you hear the name Abu Garcia. And when I went to, Bass Pro Shop and I was looking at all the rods and reels, I had no idea what I was looking for, and again, on a budget, trying to keep it within reason, because you can spend, $200-$300 on a bait caster and just that much on a rod as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So honestly, it sounds kind of silly, but I found the combo. It's less than $100 still, I think, to this day, and it's my favorite colors. It's black and red.
Nice.
So I'm like, hey, let's give that a try. And what I've learned, because there's a ton of different rod lengths. You've got 6, 6.5, 7, 7.2, 8. I mean, I've got even some big. I got a big 8-foot musky rod for throwing my big swim baits.
Sure.
And I got 10-foot extension rods for trolling for steelhead. But what I really like about the Black Max combo is, one, it's affordable.
Mm-hmm.
Two, it actually has it's a medium heavy with a decently fast action tip, so it's actually really versatile. And starting off in bass fishing, I didn't know what to throw. You always hear about crankbaits, you hear about swim baits, swim jigs, chatter baits, spinner baits.
Yeah. Yep.
Sinkos, Texas rigged Sinkos, wacky rigging. So I really said, okay, let me just start with a basic medium heavy 7-foot rod. I bought 2 of them for $200, $100 a piece. I think they were even like $85 a piece at the time. And the reels are 5-ball bearing reels, so they don't have super high ball bearing count. The gear ratio is 6.4 to 1, which might be a little bit slow to what you're used to hearing about. You got 7.2s, 7.3s. But what I really like about the reel is that it slows you down.
Sure. Oh,
There's
sure.
nothing,
Yeah.
there's, and I get excited, I haven't been fishing for a couple of weeks, or like in the spring of the year, I get out there and I just want to cast and I want to burn those lures back. But what I like about this, the 6.4 to 1, is it actually slows you down. It makes you slow your presentation down, especially in the spring when the water's cold. Fish are a little more lethargic. They are feeding up. But even in the fall, when the fish are really feeding and that water dips down to like the low 40s, maybe even the upper 50s, you really got to slow your presentations down sometimes.
Sure.
So I've actually made them, these 2 rods are probably still my number 1, number 2 rods that I use, just because it slows me down a lot of times.
Huh. No, that's awesome. Okay, that's you know what it seems like, and it's a cool conversation point, because it always seems like the uh, uh, the gearing on the reels is always, it's got to be faster, got to be faster, got to be faster.
Yeah.
You need more, you need more. And it's a great point. To try and think of it from the other perspective, is though, like, yes, you can reel too fast. You can bring it back and not actually be paying attention to what you do. You're throwing it out, you're reeling it back, throwing it out, you're reeling it back, and you're just kind of like going through the motions. And obviously, the faster gearing might not be good for you. And so that's a decent point, which I actually had not considered prior to this. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I mean, you want the fast gear ratios when you're flipping heavy cover. I've got some 7.3 to 1 Abu Garcia reels for, jacking them out of lily pads or jacking them out of heavy cover, or flipping docks, to get them away from cover. But when you're just throwing your basic square bill crankbaits, spinner baits, chatter baits, swim jigs, I'm a big fan of swim jigs recently. It's really nice to slow yourself down. And the thing about those lures is, you want to touch, you want to be touching structure. You want to be touching grass. You want to be touching bottom. So you got to pay attention to, the rod bends. If you get hung up on grass, I've found that with a square bill crankbait, if you snap it real hard out of the grass and pause it, they'll sometimes hit it. But before, I would just reel it. I feel the grass and I just pull it, and then I pull it away right away from the fish. And like you said in the very beginning, it was cast and reel, go through the motions. Started watching YouTube, started following some more people on Instagram, started really taking a deep dive. I read an article. I don't read anything but fishing or maple syrup stuff. But it really slowing down, I think is the important thing, especially for somebody new.
Sure. Yeah.
And versatility. Like I said, I throw squirrel bill crankbaits, swim jigs, chatter baits, spinner baits. I'll throw a Sinkos on them sometimes. I like running Sinkos on spinning rods. I like using spinning rods for my Texas rigger or something like that. I even have a Silver Max combo. It's a little 6.5-foot combo, I think.
Okay.
And that's my wacky rig rod.
Gotcha.
So, and it's lightweight. I know a lot of guys like putting wacky rigs on heavier tackle, but it's fun. I catch 3-4 pound smallmouth on a 6.5-foot medium light spin bait caster. It's a lot of fun.
No, you know what? And for me personally, and it's all personal preference, and by no means a recommendation for everyone, but I like the lighter rods. But that's me personally. A light or a medium light is kind of like my sweet spot that I really enjoy fishing, just because for me, I just enjoy it. I have a couple medium heavy rods, and obviously they're more apt for certain situations. When you need a little more backbone, and obviously, on those bigger baits and going after some of the bigger fish, sometimes it's what you need. But I definitely enjoy a lighter rod for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Go
I was
ahead.
gonna, I was just gonna say, like my brother and my father-in-law, it's been a learning experience that for them as well because they've kind of followed along with me on this journey, and they use spinning reels, spinning rods, and
Yeah.
I use a ton of spinning rods too. But I've learned that spinning rods and bait casters kind of have their place.
Hmm.
And my brother-in-law is a big, like small river fisherman, does a lot of drifting down in a canoe or kayak. So he always uses his ultralight rods.
Okay.
Well, when we're up in the lily pads trying to, frog fish, you can't use an ultralight. I
Gotcha.
mean, you can, but I've seen them lose more fish than get fish because they just can't. They don't have that backbone to rip those fish out of there.
Absolutely.
Um, so I actually, depending on who's fishing with me, I will fish to their strength. You know,
Sure. Sure. Sure.
if because when I take people fish with me, I don't care if I catch a single fish. I want who's ever with me to catch all the fish.
Yeah. You want
I
somebody else to have a good time.
Exactly. I get enjoyment out of helping people catch. Like my nephew caught his first smallmouth this year. It was a 4.5 pound smallmouth.
That's awesome.
My father-in-law's caught his first steelhead with me. He's caught his first tuna and sailfish with me, and that's what really brings me joy.
That's cool. No, that's awesome for sure. I was just looking, and you probably know if you haven't checked out our site. All of what Tackle Buys does is try and save folks money on the tackle that they want to buy. And I was just checking
Mhm.
out just to see. And the Black Max is not currently on sale, but one of the combos that is, but the Black Max spinning reel is on sale over at Bass Pro. So,
Gotcha.
but anyway, so I just was curious to see if anybody had it on sale because that would be a great point for somebody listening in the near future to try and grab it. So, but no, I do see those on sale pretty frequently. So if you guys are listening
Mhm.
at a later date, you think you want to grab one, check out the site, check all the major sales. But that's what Tackle Buys does is compiles all the sales ads from all across the web to find you some of the best deals. So next time you're looking for a Black Max, check out Tackle Buys for sure. So with the Black Max, I mean, have you found it to be a durable, dependable combo?
Yeah, I've actually. They're the very first reels I've ever tried to take apart and clean,
Okay.
and they're very forgiving because I can take stuff apart but
And
put
you
it back together.
well, you put it back together wrong. That's why. That's why you got to pay attention. It's smart.
Yeah, there's more parts left over to put it back together. But
Where'd this come from?
yeah, well, as far as durability, I mean, honestly, like I said, I've fished with these rods for 5 years straight, and the only thing that happened was the ring right here that connects the handle
Yeah.
that came loose
Oh,
one
really?
day. So I super glued it, and that's it.
Huh.
But I mean, I've got $200 ducket heavy flipping pitching rods, for pitching heavy grass.
Mhm.
I've got a really heavy duty Abu Garcia frog rod. I got a Abu Garcia, what is it? It's an 8 foot musky rod. And, those rods are 3 times as expensive as these.
Yeah, sure.
But I always go back to these ones because, again, they're so versatile because I've got one dedicated for cranks and I've got one dedicated for chatterbaits or for swim baits. But I know I can pick it up, and every time I cast it's going to work.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, definitely.
and I'm not sponsored by or Boo Garcia anything, but I really like their product that they use, and that's why I promote them on social media is because that's what works for me.
Sure.
There's great reel manufacturers out there. There's tons of great ones out there. I'll never bash another company, but for me, for price and durability, they're really hard to beat, man. Honestly.
Well, and that's what I'm a big fan. I have some Lose rods that I'm a fanboy of some of the Lose products. Well,
Mm-hmm.
come to find out, I didn't realize them until just recently. A lot of both of those companies' products are actually made in the same factory, by the same
Oh,
people,
okay.
by the same company. And higher end, lower end. It's just, but regardless, is they make good equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Between both Luz and Abu Garcia. And then when I found that out, I said, oh man, I think I'd love the Abu Garcia stuff just as much as I love my Luz rods, if that's the case. So
Yeah.
no, I can confirm, the Luz stuff I have is just, and there's good and bad everything. And that's, I think, something to keep in mind for somebody who's just starting fishing. There's always a matter of degrees. You really do get what you pay for, but there are great value combos and rods and
Mm-hmm.
reels out there. You don't have to spend $300 on a rod and then another $300 on a reel to get a good dependable setup. I mean, I mean,
Exactly.
look how many ugly sticks that are around are 20 years old that are still floating around. You know, I'm just so there are
You
so
can't
many.
break them.
Yeah, well, that's and that's the great part, But you're having good luck with the Abus, and the Black Max is a very popular combo that I know a lot of people use and like, and it's one that especially around some of the holidays like just past us, they go on sale and they're a great buy, especially when they're on sale. So
Yeah, I mean, I've got 8 loose spinning reels actually, the Mach 2 spinning reels.
yeah,
I've got
that's actually what I have.
one.
Mach 2 combo.
Yeah, I love them. And then I've got my main flipping rod for flipping docks is a Lose combo. It's a Mach 2 bait caster, and I think it's a 7'6" medium heavy rod for flipping. But like I said, they both make great product. I actually started using Lose because of Alex Rudd, who is a YouTube guy that I follow. He's actually the son of a guy I work with, and he really helped teach me a lot of stuff.
Hmm.
And he speaks very highly of Lose, and he's used stuff for years. And it's like, well, if this guy uses it's got to be pretty good.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like I said, it's personal preference. There's actually a guy on my Instagram that was bashing Abu Garcia. He made these smart remarks. I'm like, hey, come on, man! Like, no slamming companies on my page. Like, that's not what I'm about. If you're gonna slam another company, slam someone's product, just don't even bother. It's like, okay, I guess I'll leave. And he unfollowed me. Yeah, well,
Okay. See ya.
that's
Yeah.
yeah, it is what it is. Like, it's all about positivity, man. There's too much negative stuff going on in the world.
Oh, for
We
sure.
all need to support each other.
I
We got
agree.
to talk about the good stuff. So yeah,
No,
no
I'm with you.
slamming products on my
100%.
page.
I love it. No, you know what? It's I'm with you 100%. No, well, I definitely recommend. I actually need to grab one so I can get some firsthand experience. But I've seen enough people out there that like it and really do recommend the Black Max that I could confidently say that if you're in the market for a good combo, that is one to throw on the list to consider. So
Yeah, I mean, for me, I look at the deck of the boat and it's like, okay, what am I doing today? If I'm going to fish a lot of grass or I'm going to fish a lot of rock and cover and shoreline, it's the Black Max because that's what I throw my spinner baits on. I throw
sure,
my crankbaits on. What one thing too that I like as far as line goes, because it's another big topic of conversation. What line do you use? Do you use copolymer? Do you use braid? Do you use fluorocarbon?
Mhm.
For me, I've been a big fan of cigar fluorocarbon for years and years and years. Um, I use their 12-pound fluorocarbon on all my Black Max rods. I use it for all my leaders. But 12-pound line for me seems to be a pretty good combination with that Black Max combo.
Gotcha.
It's good on your crankbaits. Your KVDs, your 1.5s.
Mhm.
I use a lot of 6 cent swim jigs, a lot of Z-Man chatterbaits, and that 12-pound just seems to be a really good middle of the road
Sure.
uh, weight line to use. And I'm not intelligent enough to tell you, is there a big difference between copolymers and fluorocarbons? But for me, I know fluorocarbon. It's harder for the fish to see. It's
Gotcha.
very
Sure.
abrasive resistant. Doesn't have a lot of stretch. So I actually don't use any monofilament. It's
Hmm.
either braid or it's fluorocarbon
Gotcha. Okay. No, that's interesting for sure. Well,
because
shoot,
it's
man. Um, I I think this was a lot of fun. I definitely appreciate you jumping on with us here. This
yeah.
was cool. It was nice to talk to another down to earth kind of guy, and we can talk about fishing and a little bit of maple syrup, which I didn't expect to talk about, which was cool. That's
You
all.
get me down that rabbit hole, man. It'll.
No, for sure, for sure. Jay, I want to say thank you very much for jumping on with us tonight. For everybody who's listening who isn't familiar with you, tell them where they can find you and learn a little bit more about you.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. It's blue_J_maple_syrup. And I post 3 times a day. This time of year, it's going to be a lot of maple syrup stuff because I'm in maple syrup season. I will do a little bit of ice fishing in between maple syrup or in between open water and maple syrup season. I used to love ice fishing, but
Oh,
I don't
okay.
have a lot of time with maple syrup now. So I get a really small window, about 3 or 4 weeks worth of ice fishing. And then on YouTube, I'm posting 2 videos a week. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm posting 2 videos. I'm still in bass fishing season right now. Or I'm still in the summer season. I've kind of got everything lagged, so I'm
Sure.
into
Yeah.
August right now. I don't want to be making content the day I'm posting. I'm just not.
Yeah, I
I
get
can't do that. But my YouTube channel is Blue Jays Outdoors LLC.
Nice.
And like I said, I put tips and tricks on there for maintenance, cleaning your reels, taking care of your boat, taking care of your trailer hitches, and a lot of maple syrup stuff coming up. So if you want to learn how to make maple syrup, you can follow along with me, and you're gonna see everything, man. The good,
Nice.
the bad, the ugly. I'm sometimes covered head to toe in dirt, but yeah, no, that's
pretty
real
fun.
life, man.
No, hey, I've gone fishing plenty of days and looked like that. I mean, so what,
Well, you've got real life, and then you've got social media life, right?
Well,
I mean,
yeah. Well, people sure don't want to talk about that. Well, no, Jay, thank you again. I really appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and we're call this one the end here. So thanks again.
all
I
right,
appreciate you coming on.
yeah, thanks for giving me the opportunity. I appreciate it.
See you later, guys.